So the Yankees have yet again dipped their toe in the trade market. Jazz Chisholm Jr. is going to the Yankees in a pretty big prospect package, if you ask me. We're going to talk about the prospects going to Miami in just a moment. But before we do that, we have a few other smaller trades to talk about. You're probably asking yourself, Fuzzy, why are you talking about Nick Mears of the Rockies, a relief pitcher with a 5.56 ERA? Well, because he plays for the Rockies, you really can't take that ERA to heart because he plays in Colorado where you can flick your wrist and the ball goes 700 feet. But if you're familiar with the website Baseball Savant, you want to see a lot of red. He is a perfect guy to go to Milwaukee, and you have to combine that with the fact that the Brewers are also getting Devin Williams. So Nick Mears, the fact that he throws a bajillion miles an hour, you're getting Devin Williams back. That bullpen is going to be fortified pretty soon. Danny Jansen is on the move, so AL East teams are making trades with each other left and right. So the Orioles, they picked up Zach Eflin from the Rays, and the Blue Jays traded in their division as well, giving Danny Jansen, who's been pretty good behind the dish for a long time, he is going to the Boston Red Sox in exchange for infielders Coffey, which is a fantastic name, Eddinson, Paulino, a actual big league pitcher right now, and then Gilberto Batista. If I said any of those names wrong, I am very sorry. But if you guys take a look at Danny Jansen, remember, he's a pretty good defensive catcher who's got some thump. I know this year he's only hitting .212 with a 90 OPS plus. But if we take a look at what he's done over the last few years, in 2023, 17 home runs and a 114 OPS plus. That's pretty good for a catcher. The year before that, in 2022, 15 home runs, a 340 on base percentage, and a 142 OPS plus. So Danny Jansen, he can be a catcher, he can be a DH. I don't know if he's going to play first base, but maybe they're just trying to fortify that lineup because the Boston Red Sox are surprising a lot of people. And again, they didn't really have to give up too much. Some guys are upset that the Red Sox gave up another cutter, so they have Cutter Crawford and Cutter Coffey. But honestly, the Red Sox, they're sneaking up on people. They didn't lose a bunch. Jesse Winker saved his career in 2024, and I'm super happy for him. And now the Mets actually see him as an addition, someone that if they trade for, he will add to their squad. So he has been traded for a right-handed prospect by the name of Tyler Stewart. Jesse Winker is probably not going to be a full-time player, at least in my opinion, because against lefties, he's not very good, I will say that, but against righties, he's been absolutely crushing. He's got a cannon for an arm as well. So far, the recap, Nick Mears is going to the Brewers, Devin Williams coming back. We have Danny Jansen going to the Red Sox from the Blue Jays, so another interdivision rival, and also Jesse Winker, he is going to the Mets. So do you think that the Mets are going to keep on buying, or are they kind of pulling a Red Sox where if they make it, cool. If they don't make it, they didn't give up a whole lot, but at least they tried for their fan base. Whoa, this was a mega trade. I don't quite understand the logistics behind this, but let me try and explain it just as a casual fan. So Jason Adam is very, very good. Jason Adam has been, I think, an all-star. No, he's not been an all-star, but he probably could have been with the Rays. So in 2022, a 1.56 ERA with a 10.5 strikeouts per nine. He got even better in terms of the strikeout stuff. He turned in an 11.4 strikeouts per nine. That's 69 strikeouts in 54 innings. He had a sub-3 ERA, and he's basically doing the same thing this year in regards to the ERA, a 2.49 ERA. The strikeouts have slipped a little bit, but he's not allowing as many base hits, so you kind of take that. Now, the reason why I say this is a big-time haul is because they gave up Dylan Lesko, the number 3 prospect for the Padres. Now, take rankings and draft order with a grain of salt, because once upon a time, Mike Trout almost didn't get drafted in the first round because half the scouts in Major League Baseball didn't want to travel to New Jersey where it was cold, where Mike Trout was playing in high school, so they just didn't get to see the guy. Also, Nate Pearson, who's now with the Cubs, one of the biggest busts in baseball, was a top 100 prospect in baseball for 5 consecutive seasons. So you get Dylan Lesko, the number 3 prospect, and also they're picking up Homer Bush. So the Rays are doing a fantastic job at rebuilding that farm system, but Homer Bush, another top 10 prospect. So you get 2 top 10 prospects for 1 relief pitcher. And by the way, Jason Adam, he's a free agent in 2027, so at least you get team control. He's very, very good. The Padres, they've won 7 games in a row. We'll talk about that in a second. I think that this is an overpay, but because the Padres are pretty good at developing players, I don't think that they really care. And they also have a lot of money to spend as of recent. So they have unlimited resources, according to AJ Preller, who I call the madman. The Phillies picked up an elite relief pitcher as well, a closer. I don't know if he's going to be closing over Jeff Hoffman. The guy was literally an all-star, but Carlos Estevez of the Angels. So the Phillies and the Angels, they made another trade. I think back a couple years ago, it was Logan O'Hoppe for Brandon Marsh. They're back in the trade market again. So George Klassen and Samuel, if I botched that name, Aldegheri, they are going to the Angels in exchange for Carlos Estevez. Carlos Estevez, he's known for that Kamehameha Dragon Ball Z celebration. He's been pretty good, a 2.3 ERA, 32 strikeouts, and 20 saves. Dating back to last year, he was very bad in the second half, but before that, the strikeouts were there, the saves were there, so back-to-back 20-plus save seasons, and he's been decent throughout his career. He's a high strikeout guy. He's a big human, 6'6", throws gas. He is a welcome addition. He is the Sir Anthony Dominguez replacement in that bullpen. Honestly, I feel like the Angels and their fan base should be pretty happy about this because Estevez, wasn't he a free agent? He's a free agent after this year, and George Klassen has a chance to be really good. George Klassen, he is 22 years old, and at Single A this year, he has a 13.5 strikeouts per 9 and a 1.97 ERA. 89 strikeouts in 59 innings. Angels fans better be happy about this guy. And last but not least, Jazz Chisholm Jr. is going to the Marlins in exchange for 3 separate prospects. Let's talk about these guys real quick because Agustin Ramirez, he was ranked as the 20th Yankees prospect, but that was only because they haven't updated the MLB.com prospect ranking. So again, take the rankings with a grain of salt. Agustin is one of the more prolific and freakish bats in all of the minor leagues. You have a catcher, again, this is a catcher this year with 20 home runs, 18 stolen bases, and a near 360 on base because the strikeouts aren't really there. He has 66 strikeouts to 42 walks in 87 games, so that's very, very impressive. Now, if Austin Wells was not playing like prime Jorge Posada the last few weeks, I feel like Yankees fans will actually be upset about losing this guy. Now, some other guys that the Marlins are getting, Jared Serna, if we take a look at what he's done in the minor leagues this year, so he's been an A-ball. He's hitting .253 with 13 home runs and 11 stolen bases, 8 caught stealing, so he's a guy that likes to steal bases. He's a project in the making. But in the last week, the Marlins, they picked up Agustin Ramirez. They also picked up Davison de los Santos, and they also got a guy named Andrew Pintar, who looks like he's going to be pretty good as well. I'm not saying the Marlins won this trade deadline season, but they've got some pretty good pieces coming back in return. They're building up the farm system just like the Rays. And the biggest piece of today's video, Jazz Chisholm Jr. is going to the Yankees. Jazz has been pretty good this year. 13 home runs, 22 stolen bases, a near 325 on base. And again, you have to remember, he's on the Marlins. They don't have a lot of good pieces around him, so the lineup protection isn't really there. If they go Jazz Chisholm Jr., Aaron Judge, and then Juan Soto or Jazz Soto Judge, Jazz is going to have some of the best protection in the history of baseball, so he's going to get a lot more hittable pitches. And you got to remember, over his last 162 games, he's basically been a 30-30 guy. That's 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases. One thing I will remind you guys, he does get injured quite often, but as long as he's healthy and in the same lineup as Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, I'm expecting a 30-30 guy with pretty good defense in the outfield, and he can play second base. So before we show the rest of the highlights from yesterday's games, let me know in the comments, what do you make of the Jazz Chisholm trade? What do you make of the other pieces like Carlos Estevez going to the Phillies? Jason Adam, they did overpay, but they're getting an elite arm. They've won 7 games in a row. What do you make of all the trades in today's video? And without further ado, let's show the games from yesterday. So we're going to do a speed recap today. I've never really done this before, but I have so many things to do today. I usually take Sunday off, but Ohtani, he just hit a baseball 900 feet. But Bregman, his walk-off home run not only helps himself out because he's a free agent going into 2025, but he helps the Astros stay a game up on the Mariners. And Jorge Polanco, he now has back-to-back days with the home run. The only difference is he had 2 home runs in this game. The Mariners, they're keeping pace with the Astros. O'Neal Cruz, how far did this baseball go? 472 feet as the Diamondbacks actually storm back with home runs from Corbin Carroll, Ketel Marte. The Diamondbacks complete their comeback. They win 9-5. Kyle Schwarber's 3-run tater helps lift rookie Tyler Phillips to a complete game shutout victory against the Guardians. Listen, as a Cleveland fan, it's been rough, and they're not making any moves at the deadline. They think they're so much smarter than everyone else. It's kind of gross. Kind of the same game for the Blue Jays, but not really. Dalton Varsho, he pulled a Schwarber. He crushed a 3-run home run. Kevin Gausman, he went all 9 innings as well, just like Tyler Phillips, but it was not a complete game shutout. It was a complete game. Still really good. Patrick Wisdom put this game way out of reach against the Royals with a pinch hit grand slam as Javier Baez, he now has a home run in 3 consecutive games. Colt Keith, he powered up for a 3-run home run as Tarek Skubal, he struck out 8. The Tigers are essentially unbeatable when Tarek is on the bump. They win 7-2 over the Twins, which is a really big game for them. Am I reading this correctly? Blake Snell struck out 15 Rockies in 6 innings. Let me repeat that. Blake Snell struck out 15 hitters in 6 innings. 15 of the 18 outs that he got were via the strikeout, as Tyler Fitzgerald hit another home run as the Giants sweep the Rockies in a doubleheader. Tyler O'Neill had 2 home runs just like Jorge Polanco, only his team lost. Aaron Judge went 4 for 4 with a home run and 3 RBIs, and yet another hard-fought game. This time the Yankees beat the Red Sox. Speaking of the Yankees, former Yankee Michael King, he's been on fire over the last 4 or 5 starts. He punched out 9 Orioles, and Manny Machado, he crushed a 3-run home run. The Padres have won 7 games in a row. The Orioles drop a game in the standings, so they're only 1 game ahead of the Yankees. The Padres, because they've won 7 in a row, I know it sounds like a lot, but they're only 5.5 games back of the Dodgers. Rookie Spencer Schwellenbach of the Braves turned it up for 7 scoreless innings with 11 punchies versus the Mets. Atlanta, they win in shutout fashion. Keibert Ruiz left the yard with a 3-run tank. He was one of 5 Nationals with multiple RBIs against the Cardinals. They win by a landslide, 14-3. Yandy Diaz, he's back for Tampa Bay. He homers as Zach Littell. He carved up the Reds for 7 scoreless. The Rays, they shut out the Reds 4-zip, and on top of that, they've completely rebuilt their farm system in the matter of 72 hours. Josh Bell hit another home run. I think that's 6 home runs in his last 11, so he's no Tyler Fitzgerald, but that's pretty impressive. Miami all of a sudden is looking like world beaters in the second half. Obviously, it's not going to last because they're about to ship everyone. Tyler Anderson, he struck out 10 A's, but the A's actually take it 3-1 on Shea Langelier's 20th home run of the year. He's been really good for quite some time now. The only thing is he doesn't take walks. If there's a world where Shea Langeliers walks, he's going to be a top 3 catcher. Book it. That does it for today's recap. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know it was a speedier one, but again, I have a lot to do. I appreciate you guys. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you tomorrow.